welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. I'm Debbie Georgiani with Jerry Usher and you. We say this every show because this is your show. We're so happy you tuned in. We just know you're going to have something to say about this topic we're going to introduce, and we love to hear your shining voice. So welcome to your show, Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Jerry, I absolutely love the show each and every day. I never, ever get tired of the topics we discuss. Never. I learn something every single time.
Well, so do I, and many of the topics are suggested by you, the listener, so don't ever be bashful. Email us at take2@EWTN.com. That's the number 2, not the word. So it's take2@EWTN.com, and we will certainly give strong consideration to any topic that you feel would be good for a Take Two family conversation, a discussion on the air.
Well, speaking of that, Jerry, today we're talking about social media because we've had a lot of folks ask us to constantly address that, to make us aware of what's happening with social media and all the different platforms that we have become accustomed to, but that could also be very dangerous for us, even in our spiritual life. But with that, Jerry, I just wanted to say we just got a flood of requests late last night, asking us to address the Covington High School incident that happened at the March for Life. And Jerry, we had decided that we're going to devote tomorrow's show simply to that and talk about what's happening there with those high schoolers being caught in the crosshairs of fake news. And so it's going to be an interesting show. So get ready for that. Maybe everybody can do their homework and maybe get up to speed on what's happening with what happened at that March for Life. So.
Yeah, we encourage you to do that. You probably heard about it, but maybe in your busy schedule you haven't had time to really dig into the facts. Well, the facts are coming out, and on social media, even many conservative Catholics pounced on the Catholic high school students. Their diocese sent out a letter basically renouncing their actions and saying expulsions may happen. And now what's coming out is it's being proven that they were really the dignified parties in all of what happened. They were being harassed and abused verbally and insulted. And and there were 3 different groups, and it's a very a convoluted thing. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow.
Yep.
But Debbie, it kind of ties into today's show.
I was just going to say that. Go ahead.
Because it was a social media firestorm. See, here's one of the dangers about social media, which we're talking about today. Mm-hmm. When something gets tweeted or posted on Facebook or something, it's gospel. It's immediately gospel, and all people do is click retweet and add their inflammatory comments, and pretty soon you got a big old mess, and it's not even a mess at all in the case of the Covington Catholic High School students. So.
And it's hard to retract it. It's hard to pull back, Jerry, once it's out there. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's I don't know if I dare compare it, but it's like, falsely accusing a priest of abuse or something, and then he's proven innocent, but he's still got that stigma. People still wonder. There's still that black cloud over him. And so yesterday, Debbie, for example, the high school was closed. There were police cars parked outside of it because they had to close the high school down because of security risks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so
absolutely.
We'll talk about that tomorrow.
Well, so that's what we're talking about with social media. And so we're asking the question today, are you satisfied with your social media footprint in the world? I mean, we all use it, or we attempt to use it on some level. Like some folks say, I'm never going to go near social media. I'm afraid of it. But we want to know if you are used to using it, and you for work or something of that nature. Are you comfortable with your social media footprint? That's the question we're asking today. Could you please weigh in on this? 1-833-288-3986. That's 833-288-EWTN. Jerry, are you comfortable with your social media footprint?
Yes and no. I mean, I was like everybody else, when I didn't get on MySpace. That was the first big, worldwide, real popular social media platform. There are so many of them now. I have a Twitter account, and I have a Facebook account. And the last Facebook post I did was in October, and I do about 3 or 4 a year now, just when something I think important that I want people to know about. And Twitter, right. I haven't tweeted for many, many months. But yeah, I jumped on the bandwagon, and I thought, how cool, this is really great, and we can stay in touch, and I can speak my mind, and we can all, give our expert, quote unquote, expert opinions about everything. Mm-hmm. But one thing, Debbie, being a Catholic radio show host and you and a speaker and so forth, when we go out and do events and when we do all kinds of things, our pictures get on the internet. So now Our faces are on the internet, and I don't know any way that we could possibly ever eliminate them. So the internet and social media, they're kind of like this insatiable beast, that just can't get enough to eat.
Yeah.
And so we want to hear from you, the listeners. Have you jumped in, head first, headlong into all these social media accounts and put personal information out there and shared, family events and things going on? And now maybe you've stopped and asked yourself, is that too much? Am I okay with that? Do people know too much about my lives? Share your take on this, because this is really important conversation.
Absolutely. Here's the number, 1-833-288-EWTN. See how easy you can remember that? Please, phone lines are open right now. Ryan is ready to answer your call. You'll speak to him for a few minutes. He'll put you on hold. You get to listen live, and you'll jump right into the discussion. Remember, you drive the show, so what you have to say, we're listening intently to you and your wisdom and your experience on this. So don't sit this out. Don't just, soak it all in. We need your participation. 833-288-3986. Jerry, I have to tell you, you brought up MySpace, and that's a real trigger, if you will, for me, because there was a friend of mine who was passed over for a promotion because of something he posted on MySpace. He actually posted a picture of himself getting high. And he was passed over for a promotion. And that was the day I realized the danger of social media way back then. And I said, no way, no how. I will never post anything personal, anything even funny, or anything just maybe I didn't think it out. So I'll just save you folks a lot of time. If you ever search me on social media, you'll know that I'm very straight-laced, very committed to my faith. Pretty much 90% of everything I post is spiritual. So that's, so I am very comfortable with my social media footprint. But I tell you what, Jerry, this person to this day has very much regretted that picture. And there was nothing they could do about it. Once they pulled it down, for some reason, I guess they copied and pasted it or something. And so it was everywhere.
Right. Yeah, so this is not an anti-social media discussion, dear friends. This is just simply as these social media platforms have unfolded over the last, I don't know, decade or 10, 12, 15 years. Have you gotten involved? Have you gotten really involved? Have you limited your profiles and information online? Maybe you said, you know what, I'm not getting into that at all. Tell us why. 833-288-3986. That's Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We're going to go to your calls when we come back.
Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We're asking the question today, are you comfortable with your social media footprint? We want to hear from you at 1-833-288-EWTN. Okay, just a real quick highlight. Morning Glory with Gloria Purvis, Deacon Harold Burke-Sivers, and Monsignor Charles Pope discussing Father Larry Richards' book, Be a Man. I love that. I love that. And they're going to be discussing it tomorrow on Morning Glory, 7 a.m. Eastern Time. So I'm excited about that show. What a great powerhouse team. Gloria and Deacon Harold and Monsignor Charles Pope. Oh, my goodness, Jerry. Doesn't get any better than that.
Well, what a great team. They have a great show every morning, so tune in, folks. And thanks for being with us on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. It is your show. You drive it. You make the show what it is with your takes, and let us say you do a fantastic job every day. Mary, going to get to you in a second. I just wanted to, we're talking about, are you comfortable with your social media footprint? Okay, that word footprint, you probably know this, but just for anyone who doesn't, a radio signal, for example, if you're listening to a local radio station, it has a coverage area, how far out the signal reaches before it starts to fade and you can't hear it anymore. That's kind of sometimes called the footprint. So it's your social media footprint is like how broad, how wide, how far widespread is it? We know it's global, of course, because social media accounts are global. But basically, just want to know, are you comfortable with your, just what you've put online, personal information, stuff going on in your life? I know, Debbie, like I said, I don't use it that much, but when my sister Mary passed away, which is coming up 2 years and a couple weeks from now, I was at her house, stayed a couple months with my brother-in-law and their sons, and it was such a great blessing. People were thanking me right and left because I was able, what you can do is you can tag her account. So I posted daily updates on her condition and her progress as she got closer to dying and then when she died, and people were so grateful. So social media can be a very, very blessed thing in and of itself. So it's
absolutely. Yeah. In that case, Jerry, that was very healing and helpful for your family and what you guys went through. Absolutely. But then, Jerry, there's the flip side of that. I shared this previously on a past show that I have a friend that shared as a way of trying to some kind of therapy or something, went out on social media and would give little snippets. But by the time you put the puzzle pieces together, you realized she was headed for divorce. And sure enough, they announced they were getting a divorce. And I even said to my friend at the time, I said, "Do you realize what she's doing? She's sending out signals. Something's wrong here." "Oh, no, Debbie, it's just social media." I said, "No, something's wrong." And sure enough, they made the announcement that they were getting a divorce. And so, Jerry, I think sometimes we use it in the wrong way, and it doesn't serve a purpose. It actually can be very destructive. And like you said, it's kind of like a snowball going downhill. It just gains strength and it gets bigger and bigger, and it becomes this monster that you really can't overcome. So let's hear what our listeners have to say about this topic, about social media and, your footprint, how you feel about being out there in the world. I'm going to try this, Jerry. Mary is listening on Pax et Bonum. Did I do that right?
You got it right.
Wow. Okay, in Albany, New York. Hi, Mary. Thank you so much for being first up, and welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi, Mary.
Hi.
Welcome. Thanks for calling.
I'm calling because I don't have any footprint on social media.
Good for you.
And I thought that some people might like to know that it's possible to have a very full and happy life without it. I'm very involved with my church, with a garden group, and with friends I've had all my life. So our children live out of state, and we love to see them when they can come. I listen to Pax et Bonum, called WOPG, where it's a piece of goodness around here. And we listen to EWTN radio all the time, and we watch some of our favorite commentators. I think we have a very good life, very happy and good life.
Well, Mary,
without having to do it. And also, I have to admit that I'm technologically challenged. I've been retired for quite a while, and I always did numbers at work with my computer. I didn't. Bottom line, one of the kids gave us an Apple computer, and I have problems with my right hand, and I can't even use the mouse. But I've never felt tempted to have an online friendship like that because I'm blessed with family and friends.
Great, Mary. Thank you for sharing what you did. And you're not alone. There are a lot of people who just simply have stayed away from that for reasons that you mentioned or other reasons. I'm just curious, since you don't have social media, you said you have a lot of family and friends out of town. What is the means or the method then that you use? Is it kind of the old-fashioned phone tree? Do you just maybe you send emails? Maybe
telephone.
Telephone. Okay, yeah, there you go.
We keep in touch by telephone. There's one child who lives in Falls Church and works in Washington. Another one who lives outside the airport in Chicago, near Chicago, and he's flying all over the world. He's a chemical engineer. So phone and occasional letters, but by and large it's phone. And the two kids who are here in the country most of the time give me calls. One of them calls us every single day and comes over when she can from Vermont.
Sounds like my household, Mary, because I'm the proud owner of a landline, which I'm so excited about.
I have a landline, too.
You might have to explain what that is.
Yeah, I have a corded phone that's connected into the wall. Yeah, I just love that. I mean, it's very interesting. Mary, I wonder if it has something to do with your name. And the reason why I say this, you are the third Mary, okay? The other one is a Mary Ann, and then there's another Mary. And all three of you...
I'm really Mary Alice.
Oh, you're Mary Alice. Okay. All three of you are, really have chosen to not opt into social media. It's very interesting. That's the third Mary. If any other Marys are, I'm just curious if there's some kind of connection there. But you know what? Good for you. Good for you. You're taking it. You're taking on your life the way you want to. It's working for you, and I think that's awesome. I love. I don't know. There's just something about folks that are willing to say, you know what, I'm going to do what I feel is best. I'm not going to join the crowd. And I just love that about you. So thank you for sharing that with us, Mary.
Thank you for the programming. We listen to it all the time.
All right. Bless your heart, and thanks for the phone call. Talking today about your social media footprint or presence online. It is global once you go on Twitter or Facebook or any of the other social media accounts, many of which I'm not even familiar with, but I know there's Instagram and Snapchat and all of that stuff. But how do you feel? Did you get involved and maybe start to see if you could pull back? Do you regret being as involved as you are on social media? Maybe like Mary, you just stayed away. 833-288-3986. These things have faith ramifications too, Debbie. I mean, we can use social media to promote the faith. The faith can be attacked, of course, and of course we can look bad. We can make the faith look bad too if we're not careful. So we're going to go to Aaron in College Station, Texas, listening to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie on Sirius XM 130. Hi, Aaron. Welcome to the program.
Hi there.
Howdy.
What? You know howdy?
Howdy.
Yes, we say howdy here in College Station. I was calling because I have a love-hate relationship with social media. I met my husband on MySpace 10 years ago. But then I had to get Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter. I'm a realtor, but I'm also a community college professor, and I taught web design, so I have to always be on the cutting edge of technology. But now I wish I could get away from it. I just started to lose interest in 2016 during the election cycle when my children unfriended me.
Oh, no.
And well, we made friends up. We made up, but they didn't want to hear my political views, and I wasn't going to keep them back. And so we don't do social media anymore. And I found that the millennials have moved off of Facebook anyway to Instagram, where there are no words. It's just pictures. And being a teacher and something of a wordsmith, I prefer, if I have to choose, I prefer Facebook because then you can write, whereas the others are all about just showing pictures of yourself. So that's where I am. I wish I could get away from it, but as a realtor, that's where I have to advertise,
Right. Right. Same, my husband as well. He's a realtor as well, Aaron. And I just wanted to say something. It's interesting you brought this up because here's another thing that just strikes a chord with me. My husband, we decided early on in what my husband does in real estate, we decided early on to have the clients that go with my husband, a portion of the commission goes back to pro-life causes. And we decided that early on. That's the way my husband chooses to conduct his business. And I remember one time we did some kind of posting on social media about that. And it was interesting how many, it really kind of baffled me how many of our Catholic friends on social media weren't real supportive of that. which shocked me. And it was really odd. And it really kind of, popped the balloon in my husband's feeling about, like, what's happening? How are we not standing together as Christians and doing the right thing? And so, he kind of shares that. I hope I can speak for him. He kind of shares that same love hate. He has to use it for real estate, but you know what? It's really unfortunate, because when you can have a time where you can band together and say, this is awesome. We have people are out there who are going to support pro-life causes, and yet they're not standing together. It's kind of odd. Have you noticed any of that, Erin? Like, kind of this, I don't know, divisive nature in social. Yeah.
Absolutely. On Facebook, you have to have a private page in order to have a public page. You have to have a profile and a public page. And so my public page, I don't post anything about my faith or my beliefs. I just post pretty pictures of houses and events in the community. Whereas on my profile page, there's a way to separate it that a lot of people don't know, where you can post to the world or you can post to just your friends. And then you can further break down your friends lists to conservatives and other. And so I use it very carefully in those ways by directing my audience.
Right. And, Erin, what you're bringing up right now is another key point, and that is I've known people who have wanted to delete their accounts and they can't find out how to do it, or they just simply can't, or how to, there are all kinds of these settings and different things you can go into and set up your accounts in certain ways that I have no idea how to do those things, and a lot of people don't either. But I think the main thing, Debbie, that I've heard is the complaint that people can't get rid of their, I think you can shut it down, but it's never really gone. So I don't know. I guess once you're in the social media world, you're there forever. It sounds like.
Right. Well,
I think
Erin,
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. We share your frustration in it, but it's become a reality for all of us, especially in business. And it sounds like you're using it wisely, and it's working for you. So we just appreciate it so very much. Call us anytime, and Jerry will say, "What did you say, Jerry? Howdy."
Howdy.
I just wanted you to say it again.
Well, now I'll say, Erin, bye, y'all.
Bye.
God bless. Have a good day, and best of luck with
sweet.
your realty work. Take two with Jerry and Debbie. Are you comfortable with your presence online, social media, and otherwise, for that matter, your social media footprint? 833-288-3986. We got an email from our dear friend Helen, and she says, "Hi, yes, for today's topic, I am only on Facebook with friends and relatives who live far away. I only post photos of my farm life, and I hit like on others' posts that are simple, non-offensive. I will admit that I put myself in a good light. I don't need to wear my emotions on my sleeve on Facebook. My intent is to brighten up friends and relatives' lives by showing beautiful photos, and I appreciate the feedback I get from horse friends when I post how my filly's horse training is coming along." And I checked out her page. She has some beautiful pictures.
Oh, yeah.
I've decided to stuff any bad attitude I have and seek the good, the beautiful, and the truth. Love your show as usual. It helps me keep my good, true, and beautiful Catholic attitude. Helen in Idaho. So thank you, Helen.
Love you, Helen. Thank you. I love hearing from her. She's awesome. Natasha in Texas on Armor of God Radio has been waiting so patiently. Hi, Natasha. Welcome to Take Two.
Hi, how are y'all?
Doing well.
Great. How are you?
How are you?
Doing good. Oh, we're doing just fine. I was actually listening when you were talking with the previous caller from College Station. We're just right up the road from her, and the howdy y'all and the all that good stuff. I was kind of laughing. I don't guess everybody gets exposed to that kind of jargon. So
yeah, exactly.
we love it. We love it. Yep.
Oh, good. Well, I was calling because mine isn't really directed towards Facebook or any of those exact kind of social media platforms. I had an experience some years ago with YouTube. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I posted a short video of my son, who was 7 or 8 at the time. And he was running around in a pair of basketball shorts doing this silly little thing that he did. It was hilarious. And I posted it on YouTube, like everybody does, these funny little videos. And somebody had commented on it, which I reported him the whole 9 yards, but it was the most vile, gut-wrenching. It made me literally nauseous at my stomach, the things he said, it brought a whole new light to this whole social media thing to me. It was disgusting, and I could not believe, but it made me really realize that there are vile people out there in the world that, so I really, on my kids, as far as my kids go, I really stopped posting anything regarding my kids, and anything that I do online, socially, on any of the platforms, which I just really do the Facebook. It's all private. It's all, just my friends. And but I couldn't, it was sickening, and I'll never forget that feeling. And I really just would caution anyone with kids. I mean, it doesn't matter how young they are, if they're boys or girls, or I can only imagine some of the things that a lot of these other people who continuously post about their kids on those platforms, because you never know who's seeing it. You never know.
Right. Right. Well, Natasha, I just wanted to say, as you were speaking, I was thinking of a personal family example. I have a relative who is so proud of her adorable children, so proud that she innocently posts, and it is picked up by other family members very innocently and put out there in a beautiful way. And yes, there are sick minds out there making comments all the time, and it sickens me when I see it. I want to scream, but it's so hard because parents want to be proud of their children. They are coming from the innocence, and here they are met up with evil in the world. And I agree with you. I think we need to go back to old-fashioned photographs of our kids in our wallets, and that's it. Stop on the internet. So I couldn't agree more. Natasha, thank you so very much for your take on this today, and we just are so pleased that you called in. This is Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. When we come back, we're going to go to more of your calls about this very important topic about social media.
Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Thanks to the show team. Rich Jesse is behind the controls today. Ryan Penny screening your calls. Jeff Burson handles the social media. And we are glad to have all the affiliates carrying the program. Thank you, affiliates. We nobody would hear the show, or we would have no show without the affiliates, and of course, without you and your takes. We're talking today about your social media presence. Are you comfortable with it? Have you grown uncomfortable with it? Have you increased, decreased, maybe stayed away completely? Any regrets? Talking about that here, and maybe tying it into our faith. 833-288-3986. Okay, Barbara, thank you for holding in Edmond, Oklahoma, listening on Sirius XM 130. Hello, Barbara. Welcome to the program. Glad to have you with us.
Hi, thank you.
Sure.
I was calling in to say that I don't have a footprint, and I'm very thankful for that. However, LinkedIn is a social one, too, and I did have one there. But I've been retired for a year or so, and I was a security professional before in the IT business for 25 years. And because of that, I know how far-reaching anything that gets on the internet is, and how it will never go away unless the world blows up. And so I think people are just too quick to put things out there. And when you were talking earlier about what can happen when you put children and things about your family out there, that I'm not really overly scared of any of it. I just wouldn't do it with my family. And one of the other things I hear from my nieces and nephews and stuff is that I miss a lot because I'm not on social media. But I just make them send it to me another way. So that's how I deal with it. And but I feel that I'm not missing a thing, and I'm not worried about having to retrieve something that could be used badly. And that is quite peaceful, that I don't think, people try to get rid of it after something horrible happens to them or bad about their post, and they just can't retrieve it. And that is quite an eye-opening thing for them, that you just can't delete it because people have picked it up and sent it there, and people that you don't know. Even if you just do it with your family, you don't know how wide open their profiles are.
Yeah, and Barbara, we were talking about settings earlier, and I kind of learned the hard way that, you have to set up settings as to who can post, say, on your Facebook profile, Facebook page, for example. Anyone who's your friend, unless you restrict it, can post things, and then pretty soon you've got things. I'm seeing things all over my Facebook page. I'm going, how did that get there? I don't want that there. But you mentioned a couple of things. You mentioned some, you're missing out on some things. You're hearing about them via other ways, by phone and so forth. Think of the things you're not missing out on, though, the headaches, the heartaches. And you said the word peace, Barbara. You have peace in your heart. You can lay your head on your pillow at night, and I'm sure there are bigger concerns than a social media footprint. But at least in this regard, Debbie, Barbara, and those who aren't involved can just simply say, you know what, I don't have that worry on my mind, going through the day or at night.
Well, you're talking about peace, and I picked up on that as well, Barbara. And I just wanted to say it makes me think of what Anna Marie said on YouTube. And Anna Marie says, I'm on Twitter, and I try to bring up God as much as possible. I also get into political discussions on occasion, but always in the back of my head, I'm thinking this is a forever statement that I want to make, because when you tweet, it stays forever. So you're talking about, Barbara, you have chosen to not be part of that. So you have that peace all the time. With the rest of us who are engaging in social media, Twitter, or something of that nature, of one of those platforms, like Anna Marie said, we have to be thinking constantly. There's a stress with that whatever we say is a forever statement. That's a really hard way to be in the world, if you will. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't make for a very peaceful day. So I'm in agreement with you, Barbara. I think you're onto something, and I just love that you shared that with us.
Well, and I know it's terribly tough in business. When I was in the security business, we had to set up a lot of security procedures for social media, and I got a lot of trouble from the people I had to work for because, they just wanted to get it out there, and but we did get good processes in place and oversight, and we didn't have any issues regarding that. But you look at the companies that have, and you look at people who have, and that was never their intention to cause the uproars and the storms. And there's just so many mean people out there that can turn whatever you say into something else, and it just gets blown out of proportion. And so to me, it's just an uncontrollable beast. And I don't miss it. I don't care that I'm not in it. And I worry about the kids who have no expectation of privacy. They've grown up with it. They tell everything that they know, and it follows them the rest of their life. And that worries me, too, because they don't get any kind of real education about it. They're just out there doing the craziest things. And if you look at young teens and what they do on it, it's just terrifying to me. And,
well, the thing is, Barbara, not only are they kind of not really sure of what what the ramifications are of what they're doing and posting. But for so many of the young people and even older people, their whole life is in their social media. Their identity is derived from how many friends do I have? How many likes did I get? How many shares? How many retweets? And, our identity has to be in Jesus Christ. And if it's in anything else, we're going to reach a point of desperation, even despair. I think this is one of the reasons we have so much despair in the world today, Debbie, and especially among young people, because if your identity is in your social media and your friends, and you start posting some things and nobody likes it, nobody retweets it, nobody shares it, what's the logical next thing you think? Nobody likes me. Nobody appreciates me. Nobody loves me. I don't really have any friends, so we have to take all of these, psychological and emotional things into account when we're talking about our social media presence.
Well, I agree with you, Jerry. I think there's also a lot of lack of self-love and self-respect, because I think we need a heavy dose of decorum when it comes to social media. I mean, the behavior is all for shock value, and to see how many, what Jerry, retweets you can get, or how much, exposure you can get. It's really quite sad when we are throwing our identity into this mix, because as we know, Satan can definitely use this as a way to get us off the mark, off focus. So let's hear what Charles has to say in Commerce, Michigan. By
the way, thanks, Barbara.
Oh, thanks, Barbara. Did we not thank you? Thank you, Barbara. You're wonderful. Oh, God bless you. We always say thank you like a million times to all our callers, because you guys drive the show. Charles now is waiting so patiently in Commerce, Michigan on iHeartRadio app. Hi, Charles.
Hey, Debbie. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, thanks for taking my call. As I was sharing with the very kind and courteous call screener, I have had Facebook since it was public to college students back in 2005. And since that time, I've basically disengaged from it. The only things that I really post are funny, lighthearted things, and I've never really taken anything seriously. I am under 40. I grew up having to go through the social developments that a teenager and a young adult go through normally, face-to-face. So nothing I say was said behind a computer screen. Everything I say and did was in person, right? So a lot of my friends fall into this category too. And we all kind of always viewed Facebook as a novelty until I don't know what election cycle it was, maybe 2 or 3 election cycles ago. The animosity that was just hurled just so liberally among strangers, among family members, among friends. I just me and a lot of people I know, we just completely disengaged from the social media for a while. Now I've kind of crept back in, but it just kind of boils down to what we're reading and what we're exposed to are people's reactions, not people's responses. So people see something without thinking, without processing it. They put their first feeling out. And on the one hand, it's good that people have that confidence, they have that outlet, but at the same time, it is a permanent statement. It is a forever statement. But instead of letting people be human beings and making mistakes, there are some people who ruin their lives over just moments of feeling. And that's also dangerous. The other thing I wanted to point out is that to piggyback off of Barbara, and I'm sure she could have easily made this point too, is that all these phishing attacks we hear about are facilitated by how liberally people, number one, how liberally they put information about themselves on the internet, and how they fail to trust but verify when they get an email from somebody they think they know,
right?
Especially in the workplace.
Yeah. Barbara could have certainly commented on that, Charles. Security issues, personal information out there, and so forth. And I agree completely with what you're saying. One of the reasons, this is not the only reason, but one of the reasons I don't use social media that much anymore, first of all, I just don't really have the time and really the interest anymore. But I actually have done what you're talking about sometimes and regretted it. And I'm going to give one example here that I'm not very proud of. But, I was watching a football game, and sometimes, like you said, Charles, we get a thought in our head, and it's like, hey, I'm going to tweet that out, and then afterwards you go, whoa, maybe I shouldn't. And it wasn't anything vulgar or anything. I was watching a football game, and Joe Buck, who does the football games on Fox TV with Troy Aikman, he was doing a Packers game, and Mike McCarthy was still the coach, and they were both trying to grow beards, and they weren't doing a very good job of it. And maybe I couldn't grow a beard. If I didn't shave for 10 years, you wouldn't notice. But I just happened to put some tweet out there about their beards don't look very good or something, and before long, I get this reply from Joe Buck, and it said, "What would Jerry Usher do?" Kind of like, "What would Jesus do?" Kind of like, hey, watch what you're saying. And you know what? I thought, wow, that was really a good lesson for me. And I tweeted an apology. I said, I'm really sorry to you guys. I shouldn't have done that. You guys are professionals. You're respectful. And my comment was out of place. So I learned that lesson. This was a few years ago, and I haven't done anything like that since. But, yeah, Debbie, Charles is right. I mean, sometimes we just sit down and whatever's on, because we would not do that if we were in the presence of somebody.
That's right. That's
but
exactly
like you said,
right.
behind that computer screen, we feel safe and secure.
Right, because you're not going to, in the old days, you could get punched in the face for saying something, person to person to somebody. But behind, on social media and on your computer screen or on your phone, you can send these things out thinking that you're safe. But you said something very interesting, Charles, when you were talking about how when people have these really strong emotions about politics or something like this, this is what I'm talking about. We need a heavy dose or education on civility and politeness. I mean, we have just become rude and unkind and uncharitable to each other. I mean, it's really hurtful, and we are breaking down people's spirits. We may not realize it because it's behind that screen or behind that phone, but we are. And when we have to stand in front of God, I mean, is God going to show us everyone we reached through our posts and our tweets and all those things? Is he going to show us everything of all the souls that we impacted with our negativity? I don't know, Charles. It's very interesting you talked about that, because it's the first time I ever thought about it like that from an eternal standpoint. But I don't know if you've given that any type of contemplation on that too, but it sounds like, we really need to kind of a better schooling on how to conduct ourselves in a proper way. What do you think?
Well, exactly, and I think more to the point, we need to be allowed to be human. We're going to make mistakes, and I think the problem is, now with the YouTube thing, that nature, that's a different story. What I'm talking about are sort of the benign comments that people do to lack of maybe emotional intelligence, or maybe they just haven't learned the lessons. Everyone makes mistakes, but people aren't going to learn if they're not, if they make a mistake, lovingly, charitably, hey, you've made a mistake. Like Sherry said, he apologized. We should be able to do that. That's how we grow. That's how we build character. Jesus forgives us, but, we should be able to forgive one another and allow one another to grow. I think that's really a lesson we need to learn. And I think in this social media infancy that I think we're still in.
Exactly. Charles, that was a very intelligent, articulate call. Thank you so much. And thanks for sharing your own experience about, being involved and then, pulling back quite a bit. And now, like you said, you're kind of creeping back in there a little bit. And I'm sure you're going to be much more, prudent and judicial in how you approach social media from here. So you're a wise man, Charles. Thanks for being part of the program. We appreciate that. Debbie, I just want to mention podcasting is a way to listen to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. There are so many ways. Every time we have a caller come on the show, we mention the station or network they're listening to, or if it's Sirius XM 130 or online at EWTN.com. But podcasting is another way. If you can't listen live to the program, and we know many of you download the podcast, all you have to do is visit EWTN.com/podcast. And the way I understand it, Debbie, is you just put in, match up the URL to our show, the Take Two show, Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, to your device, point them to each other, and every time there is a new show archive uploaded, there it goes, right down onto your device. So one way to listen on the go whenever you want.
Yeah, very convenient. Okay, Greg in Flower Mound, Texas on Guadalupe Radio Network. Greg, you've been waiting patiently. Thank you and welcome.
Oh, sure, and thanks for having me on your program.
Yeah,
I was just going to make the point that I've never had any social media account, and I've never been happier. And I advise my friends and family to get off social media. I am familiar with Facebook because my wife has an account because she needs it to keep in touch with our nieces and nephews. But I was just going to make the point that I encourage both my son and daughter to get off of Facebook. I kind of view it as a vampire network, and that's something that I want to get sucked into because there's just so much negative energy and information out there. But what I found interesting was they did delete their accounts, but they both told me, Dad, you wouldn't believe how difficult it was to get off Facebook because it's kind of like, are you sure you want to delete your account? Are you really sure? Are you really, really sure? And I think they both had a difficult time doing it, but were able to do so. And I couldn't be happier. But I do notice that when my wife is on Facebook trying to, keep in touch with nieces and nephews, I feel like it's just such a waste of time that you can get caught up into. And why do you want to expose yourself to all the, negative going back and forth and information that's out there? But again, I have people always saying to me, well, why aren't you on LinkedIn? And, why aren't you on Facebook? And I don't see the need for it. And the point I make is that let me know if you see Jesus Christ open up a Facebook account, and then maybe I'll start paying attention.
Well, just do a search for him, Greg. I'm sure he's on there somewhere. Somebody, posing as the Lord.
Absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, so many great points, and I think one of the things that I heard you use the word kind of people are like vampires out there, just kind of sucking the life out of you. And I just the word narcissistic came to my mind. I think that, and this is not everybody by any stretch of the imagination, but I think a lot of us, so many people, Debbie, when social media started to come out, all of a sudden it was like, well, YouTube. It's called YouTube because you are the star and you get to be all over the world and you, me. And social media so often becomes about that. And like other callers have said, it can be for evangelization. It can be for staying in touch with family members. But there is just so much of that self-centered stuff that it can really drag you down after a while. What do you think, Deb?
Oh,
right.
Yeah. You're preaching to the choir here. I'm totally, I'm in agreement. I think we have to use it for work. Sometimes with people being long distance and overseas, it's a great way to connect. Like Jerry, you used it during a family crisis. But for the most part on a social basis, I think it can be very dangerous. And I think it feeds into, like you were saying, Jerry, maybe a narcissistic nature. I tell you what, it's an interesting thing. I wonder how many psychologists are really studying it because we probably are going to have the long-term studies coming out on what effects it does to our personalities. Greg, thank you so much. We appreciate what you have to say. Anything else you want to share with us, to maybe words of wisdom to the young folks listening?
I think I've stated my points, but again, I just advise people to stay off of it and not get involved.
Very good. Well, thank you, sir, for the phone call. We appreciate that from Flower Mound, Texas. A lot of Guadalupe radio listeners calling in today. Yes. By the way, I just checked my LinkedIn account, Debbie. I have 2,136 connections, and I have never used LinkedIn. I created an account, and I get people want me to join.
Don't let that inflate your ego.
Oh, it already has. It's too late. No, I don't use it at all. Actually, I'm 4 people shy of 4,000 friends on Facebook. And again, I probably know 2% of them, and it's beautiful though, because people listen to the show, and from all around the world, people want to be friends on Facebook, and that's great. I just hope they understand that I don't use these things that often. Right. I'm happy to connect, but it's just not really something that I use.
Well, that's a good point, Jerry. If we want to expand our friends on Facebook, folks, if you want to, those of you listening to Take Two, our Take Two family, find us on Facebook, Jerry Usher or Debbie Georgiani, find us, and we'll be happy to include you as part of our friend base, because these are the type of friends we want, right, Jerry? So Marianne just weighed in. She says, whatever happened to discretion is the better part of valor. She just weighed in with her comment. Marianne always is so smart. She's just so smart. Okay, where are we going next? We're going to Jim. Jim is in Texas on Sirius XM 130. Hi, Jim. Thanks for waiting and welcome.
Hello. How you doing today?
Doing all right.
Good,
how about
Jim.
you?
Great. I have this time. I've listened to your show and I really appreciate it. And I attended Mass in transit earlier with Mass and so forth. But my question is, my wife was really disturbed the other day with social media that something came across was that New York State has passed. They've been trying to pass it for the last 10 years from what it Senate in is term abortion. They just passed it. Have you heard anything, or can you elaborate about that?
I heard a news headline come across on my desk, Jim, but I haven't really looked into it in detail. I did hear a couple comments from newscasters saying something to the effect that they were trying to go for a late term and even after the child was born. So it's very disturbing. I'd have to look into it, Jim. Jerry, do you know? Have you read anything about it? Because I haven't really.
No, I have not. I wouldn't be surprised at all because states are doing these kinds of things all the time, are trying to get these things passed all the time. It seems like that. So, Jim, we'll have to look into that a little bit more. I wish we, do a little bit of searching online too, Jim. Maybe look at, Catholic News Agency or LifeSite News or some of these other sites, and I'm sure they have information about that. But, Jim, like you say, this is something that they would proclaim from the housetops on social media, Debbie, if they were able to do that. At least the
Right.
purveyors of the culture of death would. So
Did
thanks,
you see
Jim.
Did you see what Ryan just said? They just said,
About
yes, that was
Christine?
passed yesterday. Very
it was
tragic.
passed yesterday. Okay.
Wow. Oh, Jim.
So
yeah,
that's why I hadn't heard about it yet.
Well, we need to read into this, and we are in an abortion war, you guys. I mean, I firmly believe that it's all you narrow it back down. It comes to the fight over abortion, and thank God that we had so many people show up for that March for Life. Thank goodness, Jim. Thank you so much. We will look into that and get briefed on that as well. Jerry, where are we going next?
Let's get to Roger in Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada, listening on Sirius XM 130. Roger, got 2 minutes for you, not any more than that. So if you can be brief, we'd appreciate that. Go ahead, Roger.
Okay, thank you very much. God bless all of you. My name is Roger. I'm listening. This is the first time that I call you guys. I love the programs. I'm Catholic. I'm a member of the Knights of Columbus. I have my own Facebook account, and there was one time that a friend of mine asked me, "Are you going fishing tomorrow?" And it was like the end of February. It was like minus 16 degrees. I'm like, no way, I'm not going fishing. And he asked me, why do you have a second account, like a Facebook account? Well, somebody, I don't know who it was, they created an account. So I contacted Facebook, the way they do it all the time. And they replied back after like a year, after a day and a half. And they said, thank you very much for the feedback. We will improve our Facebook, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, this is not what I want. I don't want them to improve. I want them to delete this. And I asked all my friends, I had about 125 friends. I asked them, please bombard these guys, please, Facebook guys, because I need this to be away from social media, right? A different account that it's not even mine. And it has my Facebook, my pictures and everything. And then all of them contacted Facebook. And then after like 3 weeks, they deleted it. Thank God.
Man, thank God for that,
But
Roger.
that was very scary for me.
Yeah. Well, those kinds of things can happen. Exactly. Like I was joking earlier, Jesus probably does have social media accounts. Well, people put accounts online and pretend to be almost anybody. So that's something else that we need to be aware of. Thank you, Roger, for bringing that to our attention. And Mindy and Christine, we're not going to be able to get to your calls, but Debbie, Christine points out that many priests and religious sisters use social media very well. She follows them. You and I do too. We mentioned yesterday, though, that Bishop Thomas Tobin of Providence, Rhode Island, took down his Twitter account. Just a personal decision. It wasn't a comment on social media, but just because for him it was becoming an occasion of sin. And I can see for a religious or a priest or a bishop who has really other higher priorities, if they get kind of entangled in all of that, it can kind of pull them away from their what they really should be doing. So he recognized that.
Well, yeah, and I'm with Christine. I follow a lot of priests and religious as well, but and they got to be careful too, because you go out there, you say something, it is a forever statement, and it's tough. It's a tough thing to navigate. But Jerry, tomorrow we're going to be talking about the Covington High School students and what they had to face during the March for Life. So it's going to be interesting. We're going to open up the phone lines and hear what our listeners have to say about it.
Yeah, as one of Lauren Ashburn's guests last night on News Nightly said, it is a non-traversy. Actually, that was Monday's News Nightly. He called it a non-traversy, but it is a controversy, and actually new things are happening. This is swirling, folks, so read up on it, study up on it, and be with us tomorrow. Until then, we hope that you have a beautiful and blessed day. From Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.